Welcome back, friend. Settle in. Today's story is one of those quiet truths that changes how you see the past. How, for most of human history, people didn't know how old they were, not even close. And if that sounds strange, well, stick around if stories like this one are your thing. Subscribe so you don't miss the next. Now let's step into a world where time didn't tick the way it does today. Imagine you're born in a small village in England in the year 1600. No hospital, no birth certificate, no calendar on the wall. Your mother might remember the season. Maybe it was just after the harvest, or when the first lambs were born. But the exact day? The exact year? That's a different story. Because in 1600, most people didn't count years the way we do. They didn't even have a shared starting point. Some counted from the reign of the current king, others from the last big event, a flood, a war, a plague. And if you asked someone how old they were, they'd probably shrug and say, "Oh, I'm about 30, or 40, or 50. The number wasn't precise because it didn't need to be. This wasn't just a quirk of the past. It was how life worked. For thousands of years, age was fluid. In ancient Rome, people didn't celebrate birthdays the way we do. Instead, they marked the day they were named, a ritual that happened 9 days after birth. The Romans did keep track of years, but their calendar was a mess. It started with the founding of Rome, which they placed in 753 BC, but even that was an estimate. And outside the cities, most people didn't care. Why would they? Age didn't determine when you worked, when you married, or when you retired. Life was measured in seasons, in harvests, in the cycles of the moon. The idea of knowing your exact age is newer than you think. It only became common in the last few hundred years, and even then, it took a while to catch on. In the 1700s, most European countries didn't require birth records. If you were born at home, which almost everyone was, your birth might not be written down at all. The first country to make birth registration mandatory was Sweden in 1686. But even there, it took decades for the system to work. Many parents didn't bother reporting births, especially if the child was sickly. Why register a baby who might not survive the week? In England, birth registration only became law in 1837. Before that, the best records came from churches. Baptism records were kept, but not everyone was baptized right away. Some families waited months or even years. And if you moved to a new village, no one would know your age unless you told them. You could lie, and many did. In a world without ID cards or databases, no one could prove you wrong. This wasn't just a European problem. In China, age was counted differently for centuries. A baby was considered 1 year old at birth, and everyone aged up together on the Lunar New Year. So if you were born in December, you turned 2 just a few weeks later. In Japan, the same system was used until 1950. In India, many communities didn't track birthdays at all. Instead, they marked important life stages, like the first time a child ate solid food, or the day they were given their sacred thread. So why did this change? Why did people start caring about exact ages? The answer is bureaucracy. As governments grew, they needed to track people: taxes, military service, school enrollment. All of these required knowing how old someone was. In the 1800s, industrialization made age even more important. Factories needed workers who were old enough to do the job, but not so old they'd slow down. Schools needed to know which children belonged in which grade. And as cities grew, strangers needed a way to prove who they were. Birth certificates became the solution. But even then, the system wasn't perfect. In the United States, birth registration didn't become standard until the 1930s. Before that, many Americans didn't have birth certificates. Some states didn't even require them. If you were born at home, your age was whatever your parents said it was. And if you lost track, well, You could always guess, or ask your neighbors, or just pick a number that sounded right. This is why when you read old census records, you'll see ages that don't add up. A woman might be 30 in one census, 35 in the next, and 40 in the one after that. Not because she was lying, but because she didn't know. And why would she? Age wasn't a fixed number. It was a rough estimate, a guess, a story you told about yourself. Even today, not everyone knows their exact birthday. In some parts of the world, birth registration is still rare. The UN estimates that 1 in 4 children under 5 doesn't have a birth certificate. That's 166 million children whose age isn't officially recorded. For them, the past isn't so different from the way it was for most of human history. So what does this mean for us? It means that something we take for granted, knowing how old we are, is actually a modern luxury. For most of history, age was flexible. It was a feeling, not a fact. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. After all, does it really matter if you're 32 or 33? Or is it more important to know how you feel, how you live, what you've done? So tell me, friend, if you didn't know your exact age, how would your life be different? Would it change how you see yourself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if stories like this one are your thing, subscribe. The next one is already coming.